So, welcome to the celebration of the Solidarity Notes Labor Choir, Raising Our Voices, 20 Years of Musical Resistance.
And in case you just came in very recently, you're Stephen Aberle and Carol Russ are your hosts for the evening.
We're very happy to be here, both members.
And Stephen and I have to be psychic to know who's going to say what next. And I'm sure we will do that perfectly. So, of course, you're all at home, so you can do whatever you want. If you need to leave the room, if you need a cup of tea, if you need to, you know what, then do it. Look after yourselves, be comfortable, sit back and enjoy.
We have a wonderful program ahead of you. If there are things, I see people are making good use of it already, but if you didn't hear already, please feel free to make use of the chat. And if you haven't got that open, you should be able to find it by clicking a button near the bottom of your screen. If you have questions for the choir, in particular, if you want to join us, then you will be able to write to us at an address that I'm about to post and that is easy to remember. It's solidaritynotes@gmail.com. There it is in the chat. You can also go to our website at solidaritynotes.ca. We welcome your comments. I think that's it. We can just begin to fly, right?
Yep.
All right. Well, it is our pleasure to introduce first Jenny Van Enkevoort. This past summer, Jenny and Earl co-hosted a COVID-safe open mic at the Co-Food Collaborative Garden, where Jenny helps to revitalize and teach about wild and indigenous plants in the city. She takes online singing lessons with Earl, and tonight she is also out as our Zoom tech support. We welcome Jenny Van Enkevoort to deliver acknowledgement of the lands on which we sing, meet, work, and practice our resistance. Jenny.
Thank you so much, Stephen and Carol. I have to admit I was the culprit for muting you, so that won't happen again. I'm Jenny Van Enkevoort, and it's an honor for me to acknowledge that those of us hosting the event are gathering on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh peoples. I'd like to share what it means to me to name the First Nations who have tended these lands for tens of thousands of years. For many years, I've been learning and sharing plant wisdom with the support of Indigenous teachers and peers from many Indigenous nations. Among many things I've learned from the plants who care for us is that while the land doesn't belong to us, we all belong to the land. Defending these precious territories and all of us living beings who make our homes here is integral to the work of decolonization and reversing climate change. And in many ways, this is what Solidarity Notes stands for. And we're reminded in our celebration today to embrace the places we come from with gratitude. We know that people coming from different parts of Canada this afternoon, are part of Turtle Island, and we have people coming from beyond. So we encourage you to learn about the Indigenous nations where you're from by visiting the website www.whos.land, which will be listed in the chat. And we also invite you to share where you're coming from today, whether it's the original Indigenous name or a name of a place that you might be more familiar with.
Thank you, Jenny. And I don't know exactly where I'm coming from, but I am in New Westminster, so that's as close as it gets at the moment. Excellent to have that link to find out the land for all. So, as you know, this event is a celebration of our 20-year history as a Solidarity Notes labor choir, and it's also a fundraiser for the Downtown East Side Response Organization. Predominantly, there'll be a little bit that will help the choir continue. So Carly O'Rourke is here to tell us about the work that they are doing on the streets of Vancouver's Downtown East Side during the pandemic.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Carol, for the introduction. Thank you, Jenny, for the land acknowledgement. That was beautiful and touching, and I feel gratitude to you and all of you for the work that you're doing. Okay, so yes, I'm with the group Downtown East Side Response. At the beginning of COVID, back in March, there were a bunch of concerned folks in the Downtown East Side community, and they started meeting to see how they could help mitigate what everybody feared would be a pretty scary outbreak in the Downtown East Side. To start, their first concern was just the lack of soap and washing stations. People couldn't even wash their hands. But quickly, sadly, some of the major service organizations like food services and shelters, they were forced to shut their doors. And this became kind of an exasperation on all of the current problems, the crises that were already happening in the Downtown East Side. So the emergency of the pandemic was compounded by a steep rise in overdoses. People were forced to self-isolate, and they were also getting more toxic drugs from different suppliers because of the closure of the borders. So it was not a good time. I joined Downtown East Side Response right around the end of April, and by this time, a couple really incredible superhero women had taken the helm of this initiative. One of them is Amanda Burrows, and the other is Kathy Shimizu. So Amanda, she's a fundraiser. She's really at the top of her field, and she's been providing all of her support pro bono, which is just unbelievable. Everything she touches seems to turn to gold. And then Kathy, she is just a complete workhorse in the Downtown East Side, and she has her pulse on absolutely everything that is going on down there, seems like. So what happened is Downtown East Side Response became this sort of umbrella, reputable fundraising organization. We were backed by the city of Vancouver publicly, and we started distributing our donations directly to frontline organizations that were already operating in the Downtown East Side. So we just kind of funneled funding directly to these groups. And these were smaller organizations. So some of the bigger charities that had to shut their doors, these ones might not even have charitable status. They weren't even eligible for some big grants or the major funding that was coming in. So we would provide them with like smaller $5,000 grants just to keep the work that they were doing going. And so these groups in the early days of COVID, they amped up their operations. They started meeting the immediate needs, and the donations would go directly to getting food, hygiene, stipends for loss of income, and any other needs that were arising. And we're really proud to have raised over almost $500,000 in 2020. And there are 30 plus different groups that receive funds. I'm going to name just like 5 of the 30 to maybe you might recognize: Aboriginal Front Door, SRO Collaborative, Overdose Prevention Society, Western Aboriginal Harm Reduction. We have Bandu and Muslim Care Center, Watari, Raise the Rates, Hogan's Alley. There's a long list. I don't even think our website has them all. And then in addition, we did also fund directly some community projects, such as helping Potluck to provide almost 20,000 meals, providing financial support to community organizers. These are like peer jobs, purchasing PPE, thousands of gloves, masks, sanitizer, and connected 100 people to cell phones with plans. And then we supported 7 different hubs that source and distribute donations, including resourcing supplies for KT Camp at Strathcona Park. And we even purchased one of Canada's first safe supply distribution machines called My Safe Supply. So now we continue to operate as this fundraising umbrella, and we want to keep our work going beyond COVID, because obviously even once people have the vaccine, and it's really awesome to report that the vaccine is already happening in the Downtown East Side, the other crises are going to continue, which is housing and food and of course overdoses. So our latest fundraiser, we earned about 60 grand. All of these funds are going to go towards paying peer workers, which are people from the Downtown East Side who do meaningful work for a living wage. And I want to say thank you to Solidarity Notes and congratulations on 20 years. By choosing Downtown East Side Response as the beneficiary for this fundraiser, you've really made a choice to directly support the people that need help the most, so Vancouver's unhoused and precariously housed residents in the downtown east side. And we're very grateful. So thank you, and I hope you guys all enjoy the music tonight.
Thank you so much, Carly, and thank you for all of the really important work that you and this group does. And we're so glad to be supporting. So Earl Peach, perhaps some of you have heard that name, has been our choir director since day one. And Earl is going to start us out with a bang by performing Le Déserteur by Boris Vian. Take it away, Earl.
So this song was written by Boris Vian, and it was about the Algerian War in the early 60s. He was a French singer-songwriter, and it was a song that was banned from public radio. So consequently, it's always been extremely valued by people who are against war. Oh, and I want to tell you a little bit of a translation. It's a letter to the French president. Mr. President, I'm sending you a letter to let you know that I just got my military papers on Wednesday, and I don't want to make you angry or anything, but I'm going to desert. Since I was a child, I saw my father die and my brothers leave and my children cry. And my mother was so devastated that she's in her grave and mocks bombs and worms. And tomorrow I'm going to close my door on the nose of the empty years and go traveling on the road and tell people not to go to war, refuse to obey. Monsieur le Président, je vous fais une lettre que vous lirez peut-être si vous avez le temps. Je viens de recevoir mes papiers militaires pour partir à la guerre avant mercredi soir. Monsieur le Président, je ne veux pas la faire. Je ne suis pas sur terre pour tuer des pauvres gens. C'est pas pour vous fâcher. Il faut que je vous dise, ma décision est prise. Je m'en vais déserter. Depuis que je suis né, j'ai vu mourir mon père. J'ai vu partir mes frères et pleurer mes enfants. Ma mère a tant souffert qu'elle est dans sa tombe et se moque des bombes et se moque des vers. Il y a des prisonniers, on a volé leurs âmes, on a volé leurs femmes et tous leurs chers passés. Demain de bon matin, je fermerai ma porte au nez des années mortes. J'irai sur les chemins. Je mendierai ma vie sur la terre et sur l'onde du vieux au nouveau monde. Et je dirai aux gens, refusez d'obéir, refusez de la faire, n'allez pas à la guerre, refusez de partir. Si sans donner son sang, allez donner le vôtre. Vous êtes un bon apôtre, Monsieur le Président. Si vous me poursuivez, prévenez vos gendarmes que je n'aurai pas d'armes et qui vous en tirez. I should say that last little bit is, if you send your police after me, Mr. President, let them know that I'm unarmed and that they can shoot.
Thank you, Earl, for that magnificent performance of that magnificent piece.
Yes. I love that piece of music and I'm happy that we are learning it. And now it is my delight to introduce Stephen, who guessing hardly anybody knows, Stephen Aberle will be performing Eres Alta y Delgada. And now I can say, take it away, Stephen.
Thank you, Carol. So this is a folk song of Old Castile. I grew up hearing Ronnie Gilbert sing it with the Weavers. It was popular among the Republican forces during the Spanish Civil War. That is to say, real social justice warriors. And it's about a salty brunette, tall and slim like her mother. Where are my notes? Red by night, white by day, like a rose of Alexandria. The singer says, I think of you all night and die for your love since I first saw you. And as Tom Lehrer remarks in his song, The Folk Song Army, remember the war against Franco, that's the kind where each of us belongs. Though they may have won all the battles, we had all the good songs. So here is one of those good songs, Eres Alta y Delgada. Eres alta y delgada como tu madre, morena, salada, como tu madre. Bendita sea la rama que al tronco sale, morena, salada, que al tronco sale. Niña, paso la noche, niña, pensando en ti. Por tu amor yo me muero desde que te vi, morena salada. Desde que te vi, eres como una rosa de Alejandría, morena salada de Alejandría. Colorada de noche, blanca de día, morena salada, blanca de día. Toda la noche estoy, niña, pensando en ti. Yo de amores me muero desde que te vi, morena salada, desde que te vi.
Oh, it felt almost like a lullaby. It was just beautiful. Thank you, Stephen, so much.
Wake up.
Brave and kind of you to do this.
Not at all.
It is now my honor to introduce the Burnaby Mountain Mamas. I have a penchant for mamas. The Mamas were birthed as a wannabe string band by Anita Bates in 2011 when she was living at the foot of the Burnaby Mountain, so that makes sense. When Anita moved away some years later, the trio carried on. Rena Pinterick on mandolin, Janie Benna on guitar, and Pat Howard on banjo. And both Janie and Pat are dedicated members of the Solidarity Notes. Their repertoire as a trio includes broad range of traditional folk music, blues, country, songs of social and political commentary, and much more. So you're on. They're going to introduce their own songs, and here you go, Pat and Janie and Rena.
Let's see if we got it.
Oh, so
Just ask if it,
are we on the screen?
Janie, your head's cut off.
I can't.
Oh,
Oh,
there, now we can, okay. It was so little we couldn't see. Okay, now, are we muted?
no, we're not muted.
Okay,
Can you hear us?
Yep, we can hear you.
Can
okay.
you just give us a little sense of the sound? Is it okay?
Does that sound all right?
Yeah.
It does.
Okay, good. Okay, so the first song we want to do is called Morning Train, and it was written by David Francie. Oh, and we want to say, we know that this audience is full of people who love to sing, and so we welcome you to sing along. Now, we won't be able to hear you, but you can enjoy making harmonies and, you know, joining in on the choruses. We're going to sing a bunch of songs that have opportunities to sing choruses, so, or sing repeated lines. I met Jesus in the morning, he was waiting for a train. He said he thought it might be time to come down and explain how wrong it was to do some things and do them in his name. He said, after all, everybody's riding on this train. I met Una on the subway underground. Saw his smile slowly fade, I saw him look around. He said he wished we'd understand and took so in his name. He said, after all, everybody's riding on this train. I met Allah on the L train above the city streets. We rattled down the railway line, we looked down on the meek. He said he wondered why it was some never feel the pain. He said, after all, everybody's riding on this train. I saw the devil standing at the station in the rain. He had a smile upon his face, self-satisfied and vain. Said heaven is its own reward, I don't have to explain. He said, after all, everybody's riding on this train. He said, after all, everybody's riding on this train. Okay, so then we want to go on to a song that some of you have heard before. It's called Soft Spot. And what's there to say about it? We like it. We love it.
Written by Gary Nicholson.
Gary Nicholson, and we're gonna, okay.
I remember my daddy pulling people broke down, he didn't even know he'd get him going again. Wouldn't let him give him a dime. He had a soft spot for people on hard times. And Mama knew the neighbor kids down the street, holes in their clothes and nothing to eat. She said, I'm gonna feed them just like they was one of mine. She had a soft spot for people on hard times. Yeah, I've been down and I've been out, and all about living hand in mouth. Could be me on the side of the road with that cardboard sign. I got a soft spot for people on hard times. Yeah, I've been down and I've been out, know all about living hand in mouth. Could be me on the side of the road with that cardboard sign. I got a soft spot for people on hard times. When the wind blows hard and the rain won't stop, good working people lose all they got. You can't treat them like being broke is some kind of crime. Gotta have a soft spot for people on hard times. Good to have a soft spot for people on hard times.
Okay, one more song. And this one has a lot of repetition, which will give you lots of chances to join in. It's called Hold On. It's also known as Keep Your Eyes on the Prize. And it's one of those zipper songs. Originally, it was Keep Your Hand on the Plow, and it was adapted for the civil rights movement. So, oh, wrong banjo. Terrible. 3 different banjos. This is the gourd banjo for this one. Paul and Silas were bound in jail, had no money for to go their bail. Keep your eye on the prize. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eye on the prize. Hold on. Paul and Silas began to shout. The jail doors opened and they walked out. Keep your eye on the prize. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eye on the prize. Hold on. The only thing that we did wrong was stay in the wilderness too long. Keep your eye on the prize. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eye on that prize. Hold on. Freedom's name is mighty sweet. Black and white are gonna meet. Keep your eye on that prize. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eye on but one chain that we can stand. That's the chain of a hand in a hand. Keep your eye on the prize. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Keep your eyes on the prize. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. That's it.
Thank you. That was wonderful. A great trio, and so good that we can always count on you to be there when we need you too. Thanks so much.
You're welcome.
Beautiful.
And now it's over to Mr. Earl, who will introduce the video that he has worked so hard on as a major piece of our recognition of surviving together 20 years. Some of you actually together for 20 years, and some of us more recent. And we're always looking for more members. So here's the story.
Thank you. Well, the Solidarity Notes started in the year 2000. And it was, as you'll see in the video, it was started with a loan from the Vancouver District Labour Council. And that was a brilliant idea. It's kept on going ever since. It's been my deepest honor to be working with this choir for all of this time. And so all of the events that you're going to hear about in this video are ones that I was there for, and a number of other choir members were there for as well. And you'll see many interviews. I interviewed just about everybody in the choir that I could get hold of. So we all have something to say, and we all have something to sing. So I hope that this will entertain and inform you.
Arise, ye prisoners of starvation, arise, ye wretched of the earth, for justice thunders come.
In 1999, the World Trade Organization met in Seattle. It encountered a level of resistance never seen before against an entity of economic globalization. Tens of thousands of activists showed up from across North America and around the world to shut the meeting down and fight the machine of capitalism. And they succeeded. Donalda Vio, a member of the Vancouver and District Labour Council, attended these protests. There she encountered the Seattle Labor Chorus, which had formed in 1997. They were widely seen throughout the demonstrations, singing songs of solidarity with the protesters. Here's a clip of them shortly after they formed.
Everybody says freedom. Everybody says freedom. Go ahead.
The Seattle Labor Chorus had begun at Folk Life in Seattle in 1997, when Pete Seeger came to do a concert and announced he would only come if there were a labor chorus to sing with.
The Labor Chorus debuted at the Mural Amphitheater. There were 100+ singers, and there were hundreds and hundreds, if not 1,000 people in the audience. And that was fantastic. And there were other even larger events that happened where we filled the stadium. We filled, never before in folk life history had we filled the stadium and had people waiting around, standing in line around the corner.
Donalda was so impressed with the Seattle Labor Chorus that she hatched the idea for a similar choir in Vancouver. The chair of the Vancouver and District Labour Council at that time was John Fitzpatrick, an irascible Scot with a fondness for the poet Robbie Burns. Donalda talked him and the rest of the VDLC into putting up a $2,000 loan to create what would become the Solidarity Notes. Vancouver musician and conductor Earl Peach was hired to direct the new choir.
I'd been hired to run music programs at Carnegie Center in 1984, and Donalda was my boss in 2000. So she invited me to take a crack at conducting the Solidarity Notes, because I'd already started conducting another couple of choirs. And it was an amazingly fun experience.
The choir was given a small room in the Maritime Labor Center for rehearsals. Donalda sent announcements to union offices through the VDLC newsletter, inviting people to sing labor songs together in preparation for March 8, 2000, International Women's Day. 22 singers showed up, and over the next few months, they learned 4 songs to sing. One of those singers was Barbara Waldern.
I was very keen, and I had been involved in folk music scene a little bit, learned about the traditions of it, labor songs and so on. I was really keen that the gig coming up when I stepped in the year 2000 was the International Women's Day event. And I loved the song Bread and Roses, and it was just fabulous to learn that and to be able to perform at a big rally.
On International Women's Day of what year? Was it 2000? I was participating in a march, and I had been thinking for years, gosh, I wish I could find a place to sing the music that I used to listen to on all those Weavers albums that my parents had when I was a child and that I have inherited. And we walked along, and all of a sudden, up from the front of the line, I heard these voices singing a bunch of great, old, wonderful peace and justice and union songs, and my heart just flew up to the skies.
Following its positive reception, the choir decided to keep going. One of the songs it began to sing was When Tear Gas Fills the Sky, written by an activist named Desert Rat during the WTO protests. Solidarity Notes sang this song in 2005 outside the Maritime Labor Center. It's the earliest video of the choir.
When the corporations rule, and they spin their lies and they globalize, and the workers are their tools, and the streams are so polluted that their banks are bleak and bare, and the babies all are
I was actively involved in the Vancouver District Labor Council meetings. When this, at the meeting at that point, it was in the big room, the old Maritime Labor Center, and in the middle, the choir actually came in the middle of where the tables were and sang, and I just thought this was the most amazingly wonderful egalitarian people's choir.
Policeman shoots me down, I'll be looking him in the eye, and I will wash their pepper from your face and go with you to jail. And if you don't make it...
One of the major roles of a labor choir is to support people on picket lines, and that's what the Notes began to do from day one.
When we went to sing for people on strike, those particularly grabbed me, because they were small groups and they were people who really, really, really appreciated us singing. And I felt their need, and it was just a really, really very compassionate kind of sharing.
The strikers on the picket line just seemed so moved by the fact that we were there that I kind of realized, wow, this actually makes a difference. It has an impact.
In July of the same year, the choir performed its songs about social justice and workers' rights at the Vancouver Folk Music Festival. After the folk festival, the Seattle Labor Chorus invited the Notes to join them at an event in San Francisco called the Western Workers Labor Heritage Festival later that year. 8 choir members went.
Heart-filling and enlightening and awakening and great. That was the That was the first time I encountered the phrase prison industrial complex, and it blew my mind, opened my eyes. And
really experienced the fact that we were part of a very large movement of using culture to promote justice, that we had this a history that we wanted to share, we had a current iteration that we wanted to share, and we were creating a collective future.
The Solidarity Notes were introduced to major figures in labor song, like Anne Feeney, Joe Glazer, Pat Humphreys, and others. At the event, Earl also met Bonnie Weiss, a member of the Bay Area Paul Robeson Centennial Committee. Their conversation inspired Earl to plan a 50th anniversary Paul Robeson concert in 2002 at the Peace Arch on the US-Canada border.
So in 1952, Paul Robeson gave a concert at the Peace Arch on a flatbed truck, and 40,000 people came. And it was a major snub to the House Un-American Activities Committee, which had confiscated his passport. And in 2002, a committee of people, including me, recreated that concert, and the Solidarity Notes participated. It was a pretty great event for us. The address that Robeson gave in 1952 was recreated by Danny Glover, and Ronnie Gilbert of the Weavers was there singing, and the Total Experience Gospel Choir, and the Seattle Labor Chorus, and the Jewish Folk Choir. And we had the original piano that was played in 1952 on a flatbed truck.
The Solidarity Notes recorded their first CD in 2002, over the course of a year. The CD release concert was held at the Unitarian Church on December 14th, 2002. It was the first of many concerts the Notes would perform at the Unitarian Church. Another event that the Solidarity Notes participated in was a trip to Cuba in 2003.
All my life, I was reading in the papers, in the Granma or in the El Siglo of the left, the speeches of Fidel after the May Day or the 26th of July or all the celebration that they have. And suddenly, I was there in the Plaza de Revolution. Fidel was talking and I was seeing him, and there was 1 million people, and we were there.
You know, we had a tour where we met other choirs and learned songs and sang with them, which was totally fantastic. I'll never forget that. And we met the main labor union, and just traveling around the bus and seeing the countryside. It was just an excellent way to go. Yeah, so I really appreciate all the organizing that went into that, and it was totally worth it.
For many years, the choir manager was Regina Brennan, a Public Service Alliance activist who fought hard for equal pay for equal work within her union. Regina deeply loved the choir and worked hard to make it function.
I was impressed by this kind of presence, you know, of beneficent organization, I'll call it. You know, she smiled a lot. She would rattle off a bunch of things that Sol Notes was doing, and generally had a very cheery disposition. At the same time, you know, giving the distinct impression of somebody who knew what she was talking about, and that there was good, sophisticated organizing going on, you know, along with that smile. That sometimes is a rare combination, I would think.
Regina died of cancer in 2016. In 2006, the Solidarity Notes were involved in a performance of the Cantata de Santa Maria de Iquique, written by Luis Advis Vitaglich in 1969 for the musical group Quilapayún in Chile. Blythe Nuttall, a choir director from Edmonton, arranged this gargantuan piece with traditional instruments and 2 narrators.
This monumental musical to remember that is the cantata Santa Maria of Iquique. And it said everything. It moved everybody and called the people to continue the organization, the class consciousness, and to fight for a better society.
The Chilean community in Vancouver came out for this event. It was performed twice, once in the Unitarian Church and once at the Peretz Schule, a center for secular Jewish culture in Vancouver. This established a long-standing friendship between the choir and the Chilean community, which continues today. The choir celebrated its 10th anniversary in style in 2010 with a concert in support of the CCDA, a Guatemalan coffee cooperative, which also featured performances from local Guatemalan folklore groups. The concert was hosted by local comedian and activist Charles Demers and raised $7,000 for the cooperative. In 2016, the Solidarity Notes split into 2 choirs, the Solidarity Notes Labor Choir and the Left Coast Labor Chorus.
That was a difficult situation. Many people had a lot of difficulty deciding which group to go with, and I'm very happy that we stayed with the Solidarity Notes and with Aberle. I think that there has been a change in focus in the choir since then. I think that we still do picket lines, but for strikes and things like that, but the other choir has more of a labor focus, and it suits myself and Yvonne that our choir now has more of an environmental and social justice focus.
As are most such events, it was traumatic for everybody involved. However, everyone worked on maintaining good relations, and there continues to be mutual respect between the 2 groups. In 2017, the Solidarity Notes began presenting a program of labor and activist songs in local schools.
We have put together a set of songs that we can perform for high school students, and it seems that we perform these in social justice classes, and so the students are kind of primed to be interested. And what we provide them, we hope and think, is a demonstration and description of how song has been used in nonviolent protest over centuries and how it's used in nonviolent protest now.
They sent the monkeys to harass them and to throw them into jail. Disease and poverty led to despair.
And it was like having these kids, 16 years old, stepping out of their world and realizing that, whoa, the classroom is just one part of their life. The world is way bigger, and the problems are there, the solutions are there too. And we were singing about problems and we were singing about solutions. And that was such an inspiration seeing my son here.
To protect this home we share on native land.
Many people have come to the choir from many different starting places and have had profound experiences. Here are a few reflections, including my own.
I remember kind of belting out those lyrics about the criminals in pinstripe suits, just kind of picking off the wages of others, and yeah, I think just feeling the power of those sorts of lyrics, and yeah, this kind of way that people can respond to injustices in the world.
The politics that we were singing, or that the choir was singing and that I could now sing, was exactly what I was looking for. I like to sing for a purpose, and the politics were my purpose.
Just before we went on Christmas vacation in 2019, we sang a very short song, kind of a farewell song, just to like, you know, because we were all going on vacation and we weren't going to see each other again for a little while. And then while we were singing that, everybody around me started crying. And I didn't even need to understand exactly why. It was just such a beautiful moment, and that really marked me.
I think there's been so many different ways that we've been supportive, you know, sometimes in really big demonstrations. The Olympic stuff was very important, I think, because it was very immediate. And we were there with other choirs as well. We were there as part of a support network of music, which I really liked a lot. I also really liked it when we went down to Oppenheimer Park one night in the rain, because someone from the Carnegie Community Action Project asked us to come and sing, and we came and they offered us food and we sang in the rain for a little bit, and then we went home, and we brought with us, you know, sort of fresh socks and blankets and that kind of thing.
Stuff against the pipeline in the more initial stages up Burnaby Mountain and at the Westridge Park there, right? You know, it gives me a feeling that we're actually having some impact on furthering the cause.
I believe it was 2006, the school strike about class size and inclusions, and it was November, and it was incredibly foggy, and I was doing the 7 o'clock slot in the morning, and I was picketing at the school board office, and you guys turned up out of the fog and cold, and sang 3 or 4 songs. And I remember I said, "Who are you guys and how can I join?" Because it just changed the entire mood of the place, and I'd never heard of you before then. So that's when I started.
We were singing the Internationale in several languages, as I remember. And as we got up, we were dispersed around the room, as you do at a pop-up. And as I walked toward the front from my position in the back, I noticed that members of our audience were singing with us. And my heart flooded with, I don't know, love, solidarity, something, enthusiasm. And that has happened several times since, when the people that we're singing to join with us and let us know that they know our songs and they appreciate our presence. It's very moving.
One of our last gigs was at a cemetery for Japanese people who had left the island and never returned when the Canadian government incarcerated them in concentration camps. There were so many people in the crowd who were weeping at that particular event, and several people in the choir around me were gulping up, tearing up, and even the conductor had a tear in the corner of his eye. It was wonderful to be sharing that with that spirit with the crowd and within ourselves, and the whole coming together as a union was very emotionally satisfying, and gave us a better insight, I think, in how the people must have felt who had lived there and were never able to come back again.
The very first song we sang in that rehearsal was May the Work That I Have Done. And so I've got the music, the lyrics in front of me, and I'm kind of stumbling along. And, you know, I don't think we were 25 seconds in. You know, may the work that I have done speak for me. When I run my final race, someone else will take my place. And by verse 2, like, I was having such a visceral experience. Like, Honestly, it's from the tip of my toes through my body to be singing those words in this room full of people and making this music. And I actually thought it probably showed. I thought I probably had goosebumps all over. And I looked around and no, everybody's just singing, doing their own thing. But I felt just like something moved through me. And I was home. I was like, this is where I need to be. And, you know, in the 6 or 7 years, there have been repeated experiences like that, both at rehearsal, at various protests we've sung at memorials we've sung at for longtime social justice lawyers. And it just feels like a perfect blending of politics and art.
I went to a demo shortly after Donald Trump was elected, and there were, I think, 10,000 people there. It was a women-centered demonstration because he had shown his attitude towards women. And so I was there on my own and just kind of looking around and being there. And I heard music, like singing. And so I followed my ear and I came to the Solidarity Notes choir. And I was just so moved to hear the music. And then somebody handed me some music and said, "You can join in."
We shall overcome. We shall overcome.
COVID times are tricky. I hope that we can start going to events and demonstrations again, and I hope that demonstrations start forming again, because I think there's just too much going on in the world to ignore right now, and I do think there's a way to do it at a safe distance. So yeah, I would like to kind of get started back up this fall.
We got to find a way to keep this alive. It's really, really important. It's not just singing for the sake of singing. So any gigs that, you know, and that's why picket lines and that kind of stuff are really a godsend, because that's kind of typical for us. We've sung in the rain and the snow and all kinds of stuff. And so I want to know about those gigs, and I'll be there. I'll be all bundled up, but I would love to sing.
The Solidarity Notes has now been singing for 20 years and doesn't intend to stop. We have only started.
We shall not give up the fight. We have only started. We have only started. We have only started. We shall not give up the fight. We have only started. We have only started. We have only started. Together we'll have victory. Hand holding hand. Hand holding hand. Hand holding hand. Together we'll have victory. Hand holding hand. Hand holding hand. Hand holding hand. Never ever put to fight. We're bound to win. We're bound to win. We are bound to win. Never ever put to fight. We're bound to win. We're bound to win. We are bound to win. We shall not give up the fight. We have only started. We have only started. We have only started. We shall not give up the fight. We have only started. We have only started. We have only started. We shall not give up the fight. We have only started. We have only started. We have only started. We shall not give up the fight. We have only started. We have only started. We have only started.
Yay.
Yay.
Thank you. It's lovely.
And
Wonderful.
thanks to Martha Roth for her calm and beautiful narration throughout.
Indeed, and thank you, Earl, for masterfully putting that together and for all of the amazing work that you did in pulling together all of that material, and everybody else who helped with that wonderful, beautiful video. I'm just grinning from ear to ear. So many beautiful memories. So, friends, Jeff Berner. Jeff Berner is renowned for his klezmer punk style. His music is political and radical, asking such pointed and practical questions as, why don't we just take the billionaires' money away? Jeff has traveled the world for the past 15 years or so, packing venues in places like Berlin, London, Oslo, Zurich, Seattle, Toronto, Edmonton, and Vancouver. His most recent album is Welcome to the Grand Hotel Cosmopolis, named for a real place in Augsburg, Germany, where half the space is living quarters for refugees and asylum seekers, and half of it is a beautiful, inexpensive hotel. Jeff says, it's a wonderful thing for me as a Jew to see this project in Germany, where ordinary Germans are committed to truly welcoming traveling people in trouble who are seeking help and a new home. And you can get this album and all of Jeff's albums from his website at jeffberner.com. We're going to post the link to that site in the chat shortly. Solidarity Notes is proud to include one of Jeff's songs, Higher Ground, in our repertoire. As Billy Bragg says, cherish him, for there really is no one like him. Fantastic. So folks, I would ask you to please welcome Jeff Berner. If he's...
Hi.
Yay! Welcome, Jeff.
Thanks for having me. Really proud to be part of this. Well, and I'm really proud that I'm proud that I've got to be part of the history of the choir so far, and I hope we get to do lots of stuff together in the future too. So, and it's a real thrill when a great choir sings a song you made up. That was a big deal. So I just want to thank you again for doing that. And I'm going to play a few songs for you. And who knows, maybe some of these are the ones we'll play together sing together one day. I don't know. But since somebody went out of their way to mention my song about the billionaires, I think I should maybe play that one. There's a lot of different lefty political ways to think, aren't there? How's the sound? Is everybody okay with the sound so far? Okay, good. And most of them think that most of them mostly stink. But maybe there's some things we could agree on. I mean, isn't it fair to say we could start by taking the billionaires' money away? Away! Away! Why don't we just take the billionaires' money away? Away! Away! And spend it on shit for which millionaires say we can't afford to pay. We could just start by taking the billionaires' money away. Away! Away! You know, there's like 8 guys who own more than half of the whole human race. I'd like to sit down with you and chat about just what that says. I'd sure like to, but I can't be bothered. I'd rather be working with people who are ready today. Ready like the Solidarity Notes Choir, for instance. Ready to get to work, taking the billionaires' money away, 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 and spend it on healthcare, childcare, trans care, elder care, mental care, dental care, shelter, etc. You get the picture. Now, some say we can't do it on account of the economy. 'Cause rich people have more of that. So it scares investment, you see. Boo! But we've been doing it their way for a long time now. How's that working out? Oh, is the volume too low? Should I is there a thingy that I could press there? Or can you get is there anything? Anyway, I'm gonna go back to that verse again. So say we can't do it on account of the economy. 'Cause rich people have more of that, so it scares investment, you see. We've been doing it their way for a long time now. How's that working out? Okay. Then let's innovate by taking the billionaires' money away, away, away. And some say we can't do it 'cause the billionaires keep it all hid, like in Panama and stuff. But the government could find it if they wanted to. What if they did? What if? So if you say it can't be done, I'm done with you, chum. Go take a billion holidays in the sun with your friend, the Aga Khan, or Richard Branson, or that schmuck from Amazon, while the rest of us take the billionaires' money away, away, away. Yep, we're gonna take the billionaires' money away, 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 and spend it on shit for which millionaires say we can't afford to pay. We could just start by taking the billionaires' money away, away, away. So that was that song. I got another song about money that I wrote recently. It's got money in the title too. And maybe this could be a fun sing-along someday, perhaps. It's called, it's about the epidemic and stuff, and it's called Pay People Money to Stay at Home, because that's the only way to stop people dying from the disease or other epidemic diseases that are coming, is to pay people money to stay at home. So I'm hoping that people will hear my song and decide to pay people money to stay at home. That's my hope. Pay people money to stay at home and don't evict them. You asshole, you know that it's wrong. Pay people money to stay at home. The 2020 pandemic, one of many sure to come along, because the climate disasters, diseases will be vaster than I could ever put in a song. Now some places like ours, people are dying, but other places like Vietnam, New Zealand, South Korea, Singapore, people are not. And there's really only one important difference between them. So let's sing it, lest it be forgot. What is it? Pay people money to stay at home and don't evict them. You asshole, you know that it's wrong. Pay people money to stay at home. Now some people, they don't have homes, so I could see how that might feel confusing. But it's easy, you just give them a nice one they like that somebody else isn't using. And then you, what do? You pay people money to stay at home. Don't evict them, you asshole, you know that it's wrong. Pay people money to stay at home. Oh no, what if we gave people too much money? They wouldn't know what to do with it. Oh no, what if we gave people too much money? You know they'd only waste it. Oh no, they wouldn't want to go to work where it isn't safe. And then when the crisis is over and everybody's made it through okay, well, I don't want to shock you, but perhaps we could talk about taking care of all the people every day. Anyway, pay people money to stay at home and don't evict them. You asshole, you know that it's wrong. Pay people money to stay at home. Pay everybody enough money. You got to pay people money to be safe at home. Did you like my jazzy chord at the end? I'm very proud of the jazzy chord at the end. So I usually just end with the boring chord. So I'm gonna play one more song. I know I've sung this one with you folks before, and I don't want to overstay my welcome, but this one I know we've sung before together, and it's called Deloy Police. I've played a lot of places, I'll play them all again. Everywhere I go, I hear the same old thing again. Somebody dies in police custody. Soon there are questions from the family. At first the situation makes those lawmen look so filthy. Then they investigate themselves and it turns out that they're not guilty. Hey, hey, to Lord Police means the same thing now as yesterday. Out of your houses, into the streets, everybody say, fuck the police. Ian Bush's parents didn't know he was a killer when Constable Kessler picked him up for having an open can of Miller. The video at the station house somehow got erased, but the bull was there so we can know exactly what took place. He said the boy jumped on his back, but the cop was quick instead, said he reached around and shot him right in the back of the head. Constable Kessler would not demonstrate just how this thing was done. If you think that it's impossible, then the coroner's not alone. Well, hey, hey, to Lord Police means the same thing now as yesterday. Out of your houses into the streets, everybody say, fuck the police. There must be something magic down in those holding cells, 'cause there's stuff that happens there that just don't happen nowhere else. How they people dying from a sudden heart attack, men who hang themselves with their hands tied behind their back. Oh, there's lots of good and brave police, it must be true, I guess. It's brave to work with a murderer sipping coffee by your desk. Hey, hey, the Lord Police means the same thing now as yesterday. Out of your houses, into the streets, everybody say, fuck the police. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Thank you so much. How wonderful to be able to join in on those ringing 3 magic words, and as many other words as we were able to get a hold of. I really encourage everybody to go to Jeff's website, jeffberner.com. It's up there in the chat. We'll put it in again, and get his music. Get as much of it as you can afford.
Good idea. Thanks, Jeff. And now I'm looking for Mr. Earl Peach.
I'm here. I'm here.
It almost sounded like a dog, but I know. So Earl is going to lead us in a song, but please stay muted or we'll sound really terrible because we've tried it and it doesn't work. So we'll sing along with Earl, and this is your chance, so belt it out. We shall overcome.
All right, so everybody give me this here note. Thank you, that sounds wonderful. I assume it sounds wonderful. All right, here we go. 2, 3, 4. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand. We'll walk hand in hand someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. All around the world, all around the world, all around the world, all around the world today. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. And of course, we have to end with, we shall live in peace. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall live in peace. We shall live in peace someday. And I just want to express my gratitude to all of the people who came, and my profound, deep wish and desire and hope that we will all be able to sing together again soon. Yeah, in the flesh.
Hear, hear.
Your mouth to the universe's ears, Earl. Thank you so much for that and for all that you do. And friends, thanks everyone. Thank you so much for coming. That brings us to the end of our organized time together. We're going to, I think, leave the room open for a little bit longer and enable people to share brief thoughts, comments, questions perhaps about the choir and the work that we do. So if that is something that you would like to do, if there's a comment or a question that you would like to share, you can type it into the chat, or you